You're okay? Hi guys. So this morning I was digging into the seven wonders of the world because I was thinking of traveling soon. And then I fell into this rabbit hole and I found out that some people are saying that the way they voted for the new seven wonders was so unfair, and I personally agree with it. But my friend is saying that that's just how it is. So let me tell you what I found out and you tell me what you think at the end, okay? So first off, why seven? It's actually based off of these. It's the seven ancient wonders chosen by the Greeks around 2,000 years ago. The number seven represents perfection for the Greeks, as well as the number of planets recognized by them at that time, which included the sun and the moon. Okay, so the new seven wonders were chosen last 2007 through an online voting system that was administered by the New Seven Wonders Foundation. They wanted to have democratic participation as well as a worldwide consensus, right? So initially, there were more than 200 contenders on the list until 21 finalists were chosen by experts. The list included the Eiffel Tower, the Statue of Liberty, Acropolis in Athens, and others. So the voting was administered through the internet and the telephone. The problem is, a lot of people were saying the system of choosing was unfair because not everyone had equal access to the internet at that time, as well as people being able to vote more than once. So, for places like Cambodia at that time, they didn't have proper access to the internet, so they couldn't vote for their own regions. As well as people complaining, like, what about the places like Africa? It's a surprise that nobody won from there. Nevertheless, after more than 100 million votes, the new seven wonders were finally chosen, and then the new seven wonders were also recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So, what do you think? Was it unfair? Is it okay?
Chichen Itza, Yucatan,
Chichen Itza is a
Mexico.
Mayan city archaeological site in the Mexican state of Yucatan. It was established in the early 400 AD and became an essential center of political and economic activity by 600 AD. In the center of Chichen Itza emanates El Castillo, or the castle, a 79-foot step pyramidal structure made of limestone. It is also known as the Pyramid of Kukulkan, a temple dedicated to the serpent god Kukulkan, who is a war and vision serpent. The base of the pyramid is 53.3 meters wide on all four sides, 24 meters tall, and a 6-meter temple on top of the highest platform. Each four sides of the pyramid has 91 stairs, then add the platform on top, making a grand total of 365 steps, the number of days on a solar year. 91 is also the number of days that separate each of the four phases of the annual solar cycle: winter solstice, spring equinox, summer solstice, and fall equinox. The setting sun during the spring and fall equinoxes casts a shadow on the northern balustrade of El Castillo that resembles the form of a snake slithering down the stairs, an effect which is heightened by the heads of sculpted beasts at the base. In reality, using the patterns of light and shadow appearing on El Castillo throughout the year, the Mayans could have early tracked the seasons and marked the four annual solar events, and may have used this as structure as a calendar to signal appropriate times to plant, harvest, and perform ceremonies. The El Castillo was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1988 and has remained as Mexico's most popular pre-Hispanic archaeological site, welcoming more than 1 million visitors annually.
Curious about the story of the Taj Mahal? Let's talk about it. The mausoleum is located on the right bank of the river Yamuna in the little city of Agra. The ivory white mausoleum was built by the 5th Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan to honor his wife's death in 1632. Roughly 7 months after her death, the construction started and lasted for 2 decades. The Taj Mahal is one of the examples of Mughal architecture which combines Indian, Persian, and Islamic influences and designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1983. The materials that were used are white marble inlaid with semi-precious stones, forming intricate designs in a technique known as petadura. Its central dome reaches the height of 73 meters and surrounded by 4 slender tower domes called minarets, which are placed at the corners. The minarets tilt 3.57 centimeters, 6 to ensure that the minarets will fall away from the dome in case of calamities such as earthquake. And it gives us an optical illusion, making the pillars look perfectly vertical. In accordance with the traditions of Islam, the verses from the Quran were inscribed in calligraphy on the arch entrances to the mausoleum. Now, when you walk inside the mausoleum, you will see the false dome of the Taj Mahal. It is placed in an octagonal marble chamber adorned with carvings and semi-precious stones, while the actual remains lay below at the garden level. The Taj Mahal was built to house his wife's tomb and is also where his tombs lie. But as the story goes, Jahan intended to build a second grand mausoleum across the Taj Mahal where his own remains would be buried, and the two structures will have to be connected by a bridge. But sadly, his son deposed his ailing father, so Jahan lived his last years of his life under house arrest in the Red Fort, Agra, with a view of the majestic resting place he has constructed for his wife, and died in 1666, then buried next to her. Taj Mahal, when translated in English, is something like chosen one of the palace. It is also why this building was called the Taj Mahal, reflecting her name, which means in English as crown of the palace. The Taj Mahal mausoleum is seen as a symbol of love, which is clearly seen with the details of how the mausoleum was created. The mausoleum changes its color throughout the day, but it is due to acid rain. It is formed when carbon dioxide and nitrogen dioxide released from the vehicles and mixed with rain. It causes damages to this wonderful structure, causing yellow of marble, hence the color of changing. Besides being a symbol of love, it is also a symbol of power. When Shah Jahan had become an emperor in 1628 after the war, he did everything to assert his position as well as killing his rivals. Building the Taj Mahal is also him projecting his power to his people. You might heard the rumors going around that said that Shah Jahan killed the architects and designers who worked on the Taj Mahal so they could never build something else as great. Well, there's no actual evidence that these rumors are true. The Taj Mahal was chosen to be one of the 7 new wonders of the world because the building and grounds are entirely symmetrical, giving the mausoleum complex an air of ease and tranquility. If you are into these types of videos, go follow me for more.
Here we are again. Come with me as I travel somewhere. This time we're going to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And of course, our first stop here is gonna be one of the 7 wonders of the world, Cristo Redentor, or Christ the Redeemer. Check out this large statue that's 30 meters tall on top of an 8-meter high pedestal. And look at this view and these arms that are 28 meters wide. This all sits at the summit of Mount Corcovado. It is the 4th largest statue of Jesus Christ in the world, and the largest Art Deco style sculpture in the planet. It was originally designed with Jesus carrying a cross in one hand and a globe in the other, but eventually Heitor de Salva Costa changed his mind into Jesus Christ stretching out his arms wide as if to welcome the citizens of Rio with open arms. There are 2 ways to get up the mountain. One is by hiking for about 1 to 2 hours through one of Rio de Janeiro's natural wonders, the Tijuca Forest. Or you can take a 20-minute train ride. Back in the day when they were building the statue, it was constructed in parts and transported to the summit only via railway in these small cogwheel trains. Construction started in 1922 and was completed in 1931. 9 years and $250,000 later, that was completely funded by the Catholic community in Brazil. In 2006, to mark the statue's 75th anniversary, this chapel at its base was consecrated to Our Lady of Aparecida, the patron saint of Brazil, which you can also get married in. We're finally back at the hotel. I'm so tired. That was such a long trip. I'll see you guys on my next travels. Don't wake me up, no.
city in Petra, Jordan is located in a remote valley nestled among sandstone mountains and cliffs. It was purported to be one of the places where Moses struck a rock and water gushed forth. Inside the city are massive and detailed buildings like the monastery with a height of 51 meters and the treasury with a height of 39 meters. In addition, they constructed a water system that allowed for lush gardens and farming. The city contains more than 800 monuments and buildings including tombs, a theater for over 8,000 people, and temples. The historic view of Petra is that it was built around 500 BC by the Arabic nomadic tribe, the Nabateans. Later, the Nabateans, an Arab tribe, made it their capital, and during this time, it flourished, becoming an important trade center, especially for spices. Noted carvers, the Nabateans chiseled dwellings, temples, and tombs into their sandstone, which changed color with the shifting sun. At its height, Petra reportedly had a population of 30,000. However, the city began to decline as trade routes shifted. It was largely ignored by archaeologists until the late 20th century, and many questions remain about the city. Access to the city is through a 1.2-kilometer long gorge called the Sik, which leads directly to the Khazna, or the treasury. Famous for its rock-cut architecture and water conduit system, Petra is also called the Rose City because of the color of the stone from where it is carved. The ancient city of Petra remained unknown to the Western world until 1812, when Swiss traveler Johann Ludwig Burckhardt rediscovered it. It has been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1985, and UNESCO has described Petra as one of the most precious cultural properties of man's cultural heritage. In 2007, Petra was voted one of the new 7 wonders of the modern world, and since then, has become a symbol of Jordan. Let me tell you the history about one of the world's most notable feats of architecture and the stories behind it. So sit back and relax as I take you on a journey to the past in the Colosseum.
It's okay.
The Colosseum is an elliptical amphitheater in the city of Rome, Italy, just east of the Roman Forum. It is the largest ancient amphitheater ever built and is still the largest standing amphitheater in the world, despite its age. The Colosseum, also named the Flavian Amphitheater, was built during the reign of the Flavian emperors as a gift to the Roman people. Construction of the Colosseum began sometime between 70 and 72 CE under the Emperor Vespasian. The Colosseum is built of travertine limestone, tough volcanic rock, and brick-faced concrete. It opened nearly a decade later and was modified several times in the following years. At 187 feet tall and 600 feet long, the Colosseum would sit around 50,000 spectators. The Colosseum would host wild animal hunts, executions, and naval battles. The most popular events, however, were the gladiator matches. Gladiatorial fights originated with the Etruscans, Rome's ancient neighbors, and they were used in funerary rituals dedicated to deceased nobles. And the Romans would take this practice into the next level in the arena. Underneath the Colosseum floor sits a labyrinth of passageways and chambers, which were used to hold priests and gladiators. An ancient version of an elevator was used to raise them up in the arena. Gladiatorial matches would go on until they were eventually banned by Emperor Honorius in the 5th century AD. Although substantially ruined by earthquakes and stone robbers taking spolia, the Colosseum is still a renowned symbol of Imperial Rome and was listed as one of the new seven wonders of the modern world.
Machu Picchu,
One of the wonders of the
Cusco,
modern
Peru.
world is the mixed World Heritage Site Machu Picchu in Cusco, Peru. Machu Picchu was accidentally discovered by Hiram Bingham, an American explorer, when a farmer told him about the ruins. The site covers approximately 32,592 hectares of mountain slopes, peaks and valleys surrounding its very heart, the monument of La Ciudadela, or the citadel, which houses terraces, plazas, and temples sandwiched between the Andes Mountains, where the remains of the Inca civilization can be seen. Dwellings found at Machu Picchu are mostly made out of mountain stone, with polished dry stone walls and white granite with stonework as highly refined as those found in central Cusco, once the capital of the Inca Empire. The fortress was believed to have been built and occupied from the 15th to the mid-16th centuries. Its construction style and further evidence found in the ruins suggest that it was a palace complex of the ruler Pachacuti Inca Yapanqui. Several dozen skeletons were excavated there in 1912, and because most of the identified remains were of women, it was suggested that Machu Picchu was once a sanctuary for the Virgins of the Sun, or what they used to call the Chosen Women, an elite Inca group. Machu Picchu was designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1983 and was named one of the new seven wonders of the world in 2007. Recently, hundreds of visitors were evacuated from the Incan site in the wake of ongoing protests due to the call for resignation of their president, Dina Boluarte. The Peruvian government then decided to indefinitely close Machu Picchu and its famous Inca Trail.
Did you know that the longest wall in the world is the Great Wall of China? It stretches over 13,171 miles, and it was built to protect the Chinese Empire from the invaders. The Great Wall of China became one of the world's greatest feats of engineering. It is built with stones, earth, bricks, and glutinous rice was also used for mortar due to its adhesive properties. There was no advanced construction equipment at that time. Can you imagine that the Great Wall was built by countless people with their hands, and it was built by the prisoners who were found guilty of murder or tax evasions were sent to the wall as a punishment. The wall is estimated to be 2,300 years old and is the longest man-made structure in the world. In 1987, the Great Wall was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognizing its cultural and historical importance. It is also considered one of the new seven wonders of the world. The Great Wall of China was constructed in the past to strengthen Chinese northern border between the Chinese and different peoples throughout history, including the Xiongnu during the Qing dynasty, the Khitans during the Song dynasty, and the Mongols during the Ming dynasty. The Great Wall has seen several fights and skirmishes. Despite its name, the Great Wall of China is not a continuous wall, but rather a series of walls and fortifications that were built at different times by different dynasties. The wall was not built in straight line, but rather it follows the contour of the landscape, winding its way over mountains, through valleys, and across rivers. The Great Wall of China is an important symbol of Chinese culture and history. It is Chinese people's greatest cultural icon. The Great Wall is the product of countless labor over a period of 2,000 years. It also reflected the collision and exchanges between the agriculture and nomadic civilization. In the Yuan dynasty, the Juyong Pass functioned as a major traffic artery from Beijing to Inner Mongolia. Since Yuan emperors often took this route between those places, temporary imperial places, temples, and gardens were constructed. The Great Wall has remained in 15 today's provinces and municipalities, and these are Xinjiang, Inner Mongolia, Gansu, Qinghai, Ningxia, Shanxi, Shanxi, Hebei, Beijing, Tianjin, Liaoning, Jilin, Henan, Heilongjiang, and Shandong.